My name is Todd Danzeisen. Um, Jordan Wyke is my partner for this project, and what we did was college messaging, the temporal networks. So you'll be hearing me and him as well speak on some of these slides. Thank you.
First, we look at problem statement, and in the 21st century, online messaging networks have become more and more popular. Social media communities and networks allow people to send and receive messages in multiple different ways. We look at the set of data and see if it was really showing us information that we need to create a good, understandable set. If there isn't sufficient evidence showing such interactions between users, then we look into another future within other messaging, and will increasing the number of users to the dataset increase the chances of obtaining better results in different communities. For background, we look at an article that is titled Patterns and Dynamics of User Behaviors and Interaction, Network Analysis of an Online Community, written by Pietro Perazza, Tor Opsal, and Kathleen M. Carley. The research that they conducted is network data from an online community to examine patterns of users' behavior and social interactions and infer the processes underpinning dynamics of system use. We examine how these are used through different platforms, and it is also interesting that we are going to look at this considering the circumstances that we are living through now by going through a pandemic and how online communication is becoming more and more advanced. Next, we look at our motivation for addressing the problem, and our motivation for this issue is to analyze the interactions that occur under messaging categories in an online atmosphere. Social networks are a popular commodity in today's world, so it is now apparent we use features like messaging to capture these connections, behaviors, and relationships of users across numerous networks. So for our description of the data set, we use the college messaging temporal network that is from Snap Stanford database. This data is from the year 2009 and is representing the numbers of messages that were either sent or received by someone within an online community. Most numbers that we got are from a Facebook-like network. Next, we have motivation for the dataset used. We wanted to look at this because we are both on social media, and that is kind of close to our main source of communication. Also, the numbers were taken from some college students, and since we are in college, we kind of saw our connection there. And another reason that we wanted to look at this is because we are living in a pandemic, and communication through these networks is the main source of communication for everyone in the world, so we wanted to look at it more in depth.
In this slide, we are explaining the method, tools, and techniques we used in the analysis. So what we did was we wanted to find the users who were most commonly connected between nodes. So we wanted to find the node degree and neighbors as well. How we did that was by taking the data set and transferring it to a different program that we've been using pretty much all semester in Anaconda and Jupyter Notebook. So we pretty much took the data that was given to us on the Snap Stanford database of almost 2,000 nodes. It was 1,899 nodes from this data set, and we pretty much took that and applied it to network X theory. And we used the techniques of graph visualization, subgraphs, shortest path, diameter between the centrality, and even communities. Is a continuation from the previous slide, and it's pretty much just showing you our little screenshot of when we plugged in, took this data from the Stanford database and just transferred it over to the network X theory in Jupyter Notebook. We're diving into the results of our analysis. So pretty much once we took the data from the SNAP Stanford website, we plugged it all into our Jupyter notebook, and we started getting all these graphs after we would run and analyze and make sure everything was correct on our notebook. So we were able to analyze this Facebook-like network, and it was showing us all the users who were either messaging each other or were receiving messages from other students at this University of California, Irvine. From the graphs, so there will be multiple graphs. I will explain just pretty brief as we move on. They're just pretty much showing all the different nodes in the different graphs and how we broke it up into a whole graph of the nodes, the shortest path, subgraphs, and communities as well. The next few slides are pretty self-explanatory, showing their graphs. So I'll keep it pretty brief. This one is pretty much showing all the users in our data set of all the people who have been sending messages out and receiving messages, all the nodes together as an overall visualization. This graph is showing us the centrality between all the nodes. Between this centrality captures how much a given node is in between others. So how you measure this is with the number of shortest paths. We are looking at the graph of the shortest path, and as you can see, we have some different color in this one. We have red now showing, and red is showing the two nodes that are the shortest path, which has 8 nodes in between connected to them as the shortest path. So the 2 red dots you see, or the numbers, are the 2 users that have the shortest path. Part of our techniques and tools we used while doing this analysis was creating a subgraph, and this is shown with the figure below. We took about 55 nodes in this sample, and they are shown in the different color here. Lastly, we are showing the results of the communities in this data set. It looks like a big mess of different colors and such, but we did that on purpose. We split it up into 4 different communities so we can see how connected all these users really are, and as a result, we could assume that the more users, the more nodes we come across, we will most likely see this, or a data set in general, being very well connected as well. A big cluster forming just similar to this one as well. So wrapping it up here with the discussion of results and conclusions drawn of our analysis. So we know this was done at the University of California, Irvine, pretty much showing how students interacted with one another through messaging across a network. So, and even though this data set was done in 2009, studies like this are useful in today's day and age. Social media is a big part of our lives. As to this date, communication in the 21st century is via Snapchat, via Instagram, text messaging, Facebook, you name it. It's all done online. So we can see that users are constantly finding different ways to build relationships on the internet. Face-to-face is kind of going away as we speak. When looking at the findings of this study, just remember that this was a large sample, which is why a particular data set consists of just shy of 2,000 nodes. So you can imagine by expanding the network, you'll see a significant increase in the number of nodes and edges as well. If we were to break up the data by, say, 500 nodes with their graphs, it would give us a better visual to understand the graph of the entire network. With that being said, just by looking at the overall graph, you can conclude that the nodes are already more connected, and as a result, the average clustering coefficient would increase as well. To wrap this all up, I felt it was appropriate to just go ahead and read all the last remarks I wanted to make on this PowerPoint. So with any data set, it's important to look at all the numbers, especially because it can show how strong or weak a sample size is. Giving visuals is a great way to show how the nodes interact in this given network as well. The graphs above, like I stated earlier, show the between centrality, shortest path, subgraphs, and even the 4 different communities in 1,899 nodes. And in each of these, we can see the users and how connected they are or aren't based on the clustering in multiple communities, displaying in different colors. By analyzing these graphs, this network has a strong connection between its users. If this same study was reciprocated across multiple college campuses, it wouldn't be surprising to see similar results as the number of nodes increase. And lastly, to really bring this case study to life, it's important to understand what the data means for the users who are actively sending and receiving messages on this social platform. We want to look at, is private messaging the best way to communicate for these college students? The results of the nodes show that the users are very well connected in this network. By using this Facebook-like social network, individuals can express themselves at any given time of day to whom they please. And also, with this being a real network, it could be beneficial to see similar studies done on different media platforms and communities as well. By doing this, you get a better grasp on the dynamics and patterns of how people in general and not just college students behave on a daily basis all over the country. Thank you.